Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about Mahsa Amini. The Mahsa Amini protests are a series of ongoing protests and civil unrest in Iran that began on 16 September 2022, who died while in police custody. She was allegedly beaten by the Guardians Patrol Police of Iran and accused of fashion violation related to an improper hijab. The protests began in the cities of Saqqez, Sanandaj, Davandare, Banhe and Bijar in Kurdish province and later spread to other parts of Iran. These protests spread rapidly after one day. The city of Tehran, Hamandai, Kermanshah and many other cities joined the protest. As of 22nd September 2002, at least 31 protesters have been killed, making this the most deadliest protest since 2019 and 2020 protests with more than 1,500 fatalities. In response to the protests, the government of Iran not only suppressed the protests but also blocked access to apps like Instagram and WhatsApp and limited internet accessibility to reduce the protesters' ability to organize. This may be the most severe internet restriction in Iran since 2019 when it was shut down completely. Mahsa Amini was 22 years old Kurdish Iranian woman who was arrested by Guardian Patrol Police on 14 September 2022 because of an improper hijab. She suffered brain death due to skull injury after allegedly having been beaten. She died 2 days later on 16 September. After her funeral, protesters were held in different parts of Iran. A nationwide strike was called from Kurdish province to Tehran on 18 September. Iranian Kurdistan parties and civil and political activists from Kurdistan declared Monday a general strike day. Hours after Mahsa Amini's death, a group of people gathered in protest against her alleged murder near Kasher Hospital, where Amini died, and chanted slogans such as "Death of the Dictator," "Guardian Patrol is a killer," and "Khamenei is a murderer, his government is invalid." These protests were met with suppression and arrest of protesters. A number of women took off and burned their headscarf in response to the attack of the counter-insurgency forces and chanted the slogan "Shameless Daesh." Some people honked their car horns in the street as a protest. Another protest against compulsory hijab wearing law took place that evening in Tehran's Argentina Square. Protesters chanted slogans against Iran's sovereignty and compulsory hijab wearing law. Released videos of the evening shows the violent arrest of some of the protesters. 17 September, beginning on Saturday after Amini's burial, her hometown and the city of Sanandaj were the sense of massive demonstration, in response to which government used violent force to disperse protesters. 18 September, the people of Sanandaj once again took the streets on Sunday night to protest against the death of Mahsa and chanted the slogan "The death of dictator and the death of Kanandai." As a sign of protest, a group of women took off their hijabs. According to the unconfirmed sources quoted by the BBC, security force fired on the demonstrators. A number of students from Tehran University held a protest rally on Saturday with placards in their hand, and a heavy presence of security forces were reported in Tehran, and by 19 September, mobile internet service was shuttered in central Tehran. According to video on social media, protests continued in downtown Tehran and northern city of Rashid, the central city of Isfahan, as well as western Kurdish territory. A Nordic organization that monitors human rights in Iran, 3 protesters were killed by security forces in Kurdish province. A 23-year-old man named Fazad Darwishi was killed by police while protesting in the Walayar town of Urmia. He was allegedly shot by police security agent during the demonstration and died on his way to the hospital from his wound. On 20th September, according to the Voice of America, unconfirmed social media video showed anti-government protest in at least 16 of Iran's 31 provinces, including Alborz, East Azerbaijan. Protesters in Sari appeared to tear down pictures of Ayatollah and his predecessors from the city building. Iranian state media reported that 3 people had been killed in Kurdistan protest. According to Hangout, 2 male protesters were killed by security forces in West Azerbaijan, and a female protester was similarly killed in Kermanshah. The protester in Kermanshah denied state responsibility, stating that people were being killed by anti-revolutionary elements. Iranian state media reported a police assistance death from protester in the southern city of Shiraz. In the city of Kerman, a woman was filmed removing her hijab and cutting off her ponytail during a protest. Some witness interviewed by CNN characterized the day's protest as a flash protest that sought to form and then disperse quickly before security forces could intervene. On 21st September, women in sari were recorded burning their hijab in protest. Hangout stated that total of 10 demonstrators have been killed so far by the security forces. Amnesty International stated it has confirmed 8 of those deaths so far. They also condemned what it called the unlawful use of birdshot and other munition against the protesters. WhatsApp and Instagram, the only mainstream social media and messaging app permitted in Iran, were restricted. In addition, there was widespread internet shutdown, especially on mobile network. Iran's Basij, a state army, held pro-government counter rallies in Tehran. In other countries, demonstration of solidarity with the protest occurred in countries including Canada, Italy, Sweden, Turkey, and United States. According to two semi-official Iranian news agencies, and member of Basij was stabbed to death in Mashhad. On 22nd September, protesters in Tehran and other cities burned police stations and cars. The protests continued despite widespread internet outage throughout Iran. People in different areas of north and south of the capital, Tehran, continued their protest with different slogans. Also, people protested in different regions of the country, in small and big cities, and even in areas that did not participate in protest of previous years. These protests were met with heavy repression by the Revolutionary Guard and the anti-riot police of Islamic Government of Iran. These forces confronted the people by using tear gas, direct shooting. Many people were injured and killed. On 23rd September, protests continued in capital Tehran. Heavy fighting was reported in Isfahan at dusk. Many more new notable celebrities advised the state not to continue repression. Universities were shut down, changed the virtual teaching mode. American Department of State issued a general license allowing a corporation access to Iranian internet market. In order to prevent photos and videos of the protest from being broadcasted on the internet and to prevent them from reaching the world's leading news agencies, the Iranian government initially cut off internet networks and social media channels in the cities of Saqqez and Sanandaj for a few days. With the spread of protests throughout Iran, the government of Islamic Republic cut off entire internet throughout Iran. On Twitter, the messaging platform WhatsApp stated that it was working to keep Iranian users connected and would not block Iranian phone numbers. Iran state television tried to control the protests by broadcasting propaganda programs. Also, supporters of Iranian government, escorted by Iranian government police, protested in the street with slogans against Iranian protesters and countries like America and England. On September 22nd, CNN's chief international correspondent Christine Anandpur was scheduled to interview Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi in New York following his appearance at United Nations General Assembly. Amanpour planned to speak with President Raisi about several international issues, including the death of Mahsa Amini and related protests. The long-anticipated interview would have been the first time Raisi spoke with US media on American soil. 40 minutes after the interview was set to begin and before Raisi arrived, an aide to the Iranian leader made a last-minute request and stated that the meeting would not happen unless the journalist wore a headscarf, referring to the situation in Iran and calling it a matter of respect. Amanpour responded that she could not agree to the unprecedented and unexpected condition, and later reflected on the situation, saying that when conducting an interview outside of Iran, I have never been asked by any president to wear a headscarf. Internationally, there are some reactions. Canada's Foreign Minister Melly Joly called for a full and complete investigation into a regime's action in the aftermath of Amini's death. In India, several Iranian women living in India demonstrated against the Iranian government and burned their hijabs as a sign of protest. In Turkey, demonstrations occurred in several Turkish cities, including a protest of a group of Iranians in front of Iranian consulate in Istanbul. The United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken condemned the Iranian government in response to Amini's death, tweeting that death is unforgivable. We will continue to hold Iranian officials accountable for such human rights abuse. The European Union External Action Service condemned Amini's death in a statement called for Iranian's government to ensure that fundamental rights of its citizens are respected. United Nations Nada al-Nassif The acting UN High Commissioner of Human Rights expressed concern over Amini's death and Iranian authorities' response to the resulting protest. On 22nd September 2022, United States Department of Treasury announced sanctions against the morality police as well as 7 senior leaders of Iran's various security organizations for violence against protesters and death of Mahsa Amini. I hope situation gets better in Iran, and that's all for now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.